Yep. So then it seems like now you're playing, everything is going good. I think if I'm not mistaken, your first year you had what around 800 yards rushing. So like you're on the field, you're doing things and things are going good as you said. But then you have like your first, you know, I guess getting to the point where your time in Atlanta is coming to an end.
Yes.
You're about to go somewhere else. How was that moment? Because that seems like, at least from my perspective, it seems like that can be your real first obstacle, or just these adverse moments that you have to overcome.
That's when I realized the business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's when like everything, like my eyes got wide open. I mean, I was heartbroken. I mean,
Yeah.
you go from, you're playing from a football space, you're playing on your Rocket Pee Wee team. That's
Yep.
a family. It's amazing.
Yep.
It's neighborhood.
Yep.
You go to your middle school, your high school, family, neighborhood. You go to your college, even. That's family.
Yep.
Now you get to the league, and it's cool for a minute, but then you start to like hear some rumbling. People, I mean, that first time I read, like, oh, to get this guy out of here, why we draft this guy? I'm like, damn. Like that. I mean, you start to read this stuff. And
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, but at the time, I had never saw that before.
Right. And you're still a young kid, a young man growing up. You're early 20s at this point.
But they don't. I didn't see those in college. People might have said it, but I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that in high school. People might have said it, but I didn't hear it. But now you are on a pedestal. You are on a huge stage. So now it might, whether it's Sports Center, whether it's, First Take, whatever it is, they're now actually talking about you.
Right.
And it's not just because you scored a touchdown. And then it's like, well, they need to get him out of there and bring in so-and-so to do this and do that. And I'm like, dang, I thought y'all loved me. I thought we had something, And then you like, okay, you get shipped, you get traded somewhere.
Right.
And now you're like, okay, this is a business after all.
Yeah, this is a business.
And so now while you're in it, you got to start to understand what that means. And, in Washington, Ernest Biner was my running back coach. And Joe Gibbs was the head coach. And I mean, for me, that was another perfect scenario for me.
Okay.
My brother played for Washington.
Wow. Yeah, yeah.
Ernest Biner was the running back when he was at Washington.
Really?
I met Ernest Biner when I was a kid, and I went to go visit my brother.
That's crazy.
Joe Gibbs was the head coach when Tico was there.
Yep.
So, I mean, I go from Atlanta thinking they love me to now I'm like in this space, like, man, what? I don't know.
Right.
And then Coach Biner come in and just like, put his wings around me and re-schools me into, now this is the business.
Right.
This is how you practice. This is what you do. These are the things this is how you play the game at a high elite level and become a professional when it's a business now.
Got you.
And so that, like, I needed that. Right. I mean, I needed to see that. I needed to have that. And, from there, then it's okay, we're going to work now. It's work.
Yeah. Let's go to work. Yep.
Every day you go to work.
So then, because you talked about just being drafted, if you would have went in the second round, you would have felt like a failure. So as your welcome to the NFL moment, it seems like being traded to Washington and really understanding that this is a business. Did you like still feel the love at that point for the game, to the point? Because it seemed like it seems like it can go either way, as far as, okay, I got traded, it's a business, we're going to go put our best foot forward and try to earn a job, or it can go left and say, I'm just kind of going into it half-heartedly. I'm kind of starting to lose my love for the game just based on this stuff happening, which you're finding out from a business standpoint.
Yeah.
So did you, I guess, which approach did you take going into Washington?
So with Washington, that was more of now I got to prove myself.
Right.
Like it wasn't, I hadn't lost the love yet. That's coming.
Yeah. Okay.
But going to Washington, it was like, man, I felt like I let people down.
Yep.
I felt like I let the city of Atlanta down. Like I was like, I need to go. I need to establish that I can still play this game. Like I still loved it. It was still fun, but they traded. If they traded you, something wasn't working.
Right.
Otherwise, they would have kept you.
Yeah, for
sure.
So
I felt like I need to reestablish that I can still play this game.
Right.
And not necessarily for others, not for the fans and for people, the critics, but for myself.
Right.
Just to make sure I still, like, I can still do this. I'm 20 something, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like I'm really just getting started, actually.
Yeah.
So that was my, just, a maturing space. Now I'm growing into. I'm not this little college kid playing a dream anymore. Now it's I'm going to work, living the dream.
Yeah.
Now, what does it mean to be 3, 4, 5 years into the league? And what does that mean? How do you keep going and excelling in that space? And I didn't know what that meant at that time.
Okay. So then you have a short stint in Washington. And again, just from me looking from afar, you said at that point in time, the love for the game wasn't, it wasn't it wasn't all the way gone yet, or you hadn't lost it. Yeah. But it seems like now you are, you separate from Washington. And I think you went to Detroit at that point, right?
I think so, yes. I went to Detroit, yes.
So, and it seems like just, the first time, this is an eye-opener, but we're still going to try to take this business-like approach to things. Haven't lost the love for the game yet. But then going to Detroit, man, it seems like for me looking in, that seems like it would have been I'm going to the team that I grew up watching, so I'm excited in that way. But did you have that feeling of, Washington didn't want me, so this is the second team in so many years, or however many years that just kind of wanted to part ways with me? How because mentally are you kind of dealing with that now?
So at that point, when I went to Washington, I only had 1 year on the contract at that time.
Okay.
So again, now I'm into the business. I understand the business.
Got you.
And I had 1 year in the contract. They already had a room full of running backs there already. Okay. I mean, they had Clinton Portis, they had Liddell Betts, they had Rock Cartwright. I mean, and they've all had been there for.
Why do you think they traded you to a team that was loaded at running back?
Well, at that time, Clinton Portis, he had got hurt a couple times.
Okay, got you.
So I was more of the safety valve.
Got you.
It seemed like every injury he had, he played through everything. So I didn't really have a chance anyway. Yeah. But it was just a just in case case something happened to this guy, we at least got this guy.
Right.
So I kind of saw that, but like each place, looking back at it, was what I needed.
Yeah.
Like that was no different to me than being a freshman in high school, breaking my leg, to now I have a chance to redesign who I am.
Yep.
And they don't expect me to carry the ball 30, 40 times a game. Like some games I didn't even dress. But I learned again, like I had to get in shape. Like, what does it mean to be in actual, like, ready to go shape?
Yep.
And like just I really learned how to watch film.
Yep.
And I got a perspective of being a professional running back.
Right.
From a coach that was a great professional running back.
Gotcha.
I got to see how he approached the game, which I didn't think like that. I mean, it was different. So that was a good way for me just to gather myself, like just to really get my feet back under me and just get myself together. And then to have the opportunity to go to Detroit, playing in Atlanta and DC for that matter, my family and friends really didn't have the opportunity to do nothing.
Right.
Now I'm in Detroit. I have an idea how to practice.
Yep.
I'm somewhat of a seasoned vet. I've been around for a while.
Right.
Come into the locker room, family. Like, come to the games. Like, y'all be a part of this experience with me. Like, so that was amazing to be able to share actually what I did with my family, friends. People could come from Kalamazoo, Lansing. I could go to Kalamazoo and Lansing. I was able to actually live a full experience.
Right.
I thought I was going to be there for a while.
Right. So the expectation going to Detroit was like, no, we're going to play. Unlike maybe Washington, where it was like, okay, the just in case guy. When you arrive in Detroit, the expectation was, okay, we about to play.
I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna play. I'm gonna do my thing. It's hometown. I mean, not only am I on the team, but like you said, I grew up watching this team.
Right.
So in the back of my mind, this is like this is my team too.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So get there, and I feel like I'm doing great. I'm thinking everything's gonna be good, but it don't happen.